A lack of mental and emotional resilience can lead to poor decision-making, burnout, and a lifetime of feeling overwhelmed and unfulfilled. In this segment of Jana Marie Foundation's Candid Conversations, Dr. Leo Flanagan, founder and managing director of the Center for Resilience, shares what you need to know about helping your child or teen develop resilience and why that matters. When we say resilience in the context of what we're going to be talking about today, what does it mean?
So, lots of folks succeed, right, in business, in school, university, but they succeed at a cost. And that cost is they feel stressed, they feel worn out, they feel like they don't want to do it again, whatever it was. And resilience is about persevering to success, but flourishing while you do it. So instead of paying a toll and a price for success, you actually flourish and become stronger and better emotionally, cognitively, and socially than you started out with. So you end up, whether it's in high school or college or business.
What are the risks associated with having a lack of resilience?
I have a small clinical practice, which, just the way things worked out, is all 18 to 23-year-olds. And I always get the referral the same way. Well-intended family has done everything for the child possible. But the problem is the child has never been allowed to fail. In my practice, they tend to be affluent families. And again, they're parents who are with the kids and committed, but if they're playing a sport, they have the official coaching staff and then they have their private coach. Academically, they get mentors and tutors when they're pulling 95s. So they're just not allowed to fail. And then they go off to college and they have an event. And the event generally involves substance. And so the event that happens is they've been arrested by the community or the campus police. They've been in some kind of altercation. They've been in an accident. They've been hospitalized. And one of the things they really don't know how to do is to navigate. So that's a big risk. And in most cases, it's recoverable, but it's a long road and it's a hard road. They don't know how to explain to their friends why they're not drinking. So resilient people have a different way of problem solving. They create options for themselves. They evaluate those options, right? One option is, well, I'm just going to drink when the guys drink. Well, in some places on college campuses across the country, that drinking starts at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning and goes right through Monday. But resilient kids figure out how to say, well, you know what? I'm on the club soccer team and we got a game tomorrow, so I'm not drinking today. That's acceptable. Some kids figure out how to exit a party and come back. And so, the party started at 8, they hung out till 9, they left at 9, they came back at 10:30 or 11. If it happens to be the house they live in, they need to come back. But nobody realizes they weren't there. Other kids, if their friends are kind of bar hopping, they'll take a walk around the block between bars.
So substance abuse is certainly one risk. Is just sheer burnout another risk?
Sure. And the substance abuse often comes because of burnout. So one of the patterns I've seen is, a freshman, sophomore, junior in college says, I'm not drinking this school year, this semester, because I need to get it right. And they stick to that commitment. They don't use grass, they don't drink, they, toe the line, they get great grades, and then it's the end of the spring semester generally, and it's okay. And 5 weeks later, I get them, because for 5 weeks they've been smoking and drinking nonstop. The guardrails just came off. They don't know how to go from highly, highly disciplined, probably too disciplined, to relaxing without going completely the other way. So the work is to get them back to managing that. But it's a pretty scary 5 weeks for them because they believe that you couldn't smoke enough marijuana to have that kind of episode. And then once they got into it, it was hard to back out.
This seems very counter to kind of the American model of achieve, 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 even at a young age where, it's like you said, it's play this sport, join this club, get these grades and then you'll have a happy life, and then you maybe get into the school you want, and then you get into a job where you keep setting these goals and you keep going down this path of achievement, but not necessarily fulfillment.
Well, you won't have a happy life, to be direct about it. You'll have a pleasant life. And once you get into your career, you'll be working 70 hours a week, and you'll start Monday morning by wishing for the weekend. And there is some risk. For the high school kids, video games, the wrong kinds, too much time, creates a pleasure cycle that is insatiable and destructive. It's been linked to all manner of functional problems. Kids who play too much of the really violent video games are not only more likely to be aggressive, they're more likely to be sexually active earlier with more partners. They're more likely to use substances. They're more likely to binge drink. I mean, you name it. It kind of takes the guardrails off because they are seeking pleasure so desperately because the other things that might provide it have dissipated, physiologically gone away. Now we can rebuild them, but in the moment they're in a very bad place.
What are things that parents can watch for that would indicate your child lacks resilience?
A couple things. One is gaming. Two is feeling crushed when there's a setback, right? So pessimism and optimism are learned behaviors. And if a child has either through their own kind of development become sensitive to setbacks, or we've put a little too much pressure on them, if they're really overreacting, and I think parents have to look at themselves.
What are things that parents should say, and what are things they should steer clear of saying to their children if they are trying to build resilience?
Okay. There's something called the 4 most powerful questions. So one of the things we teach everybody is you can't motivate anybody. Nobody can. But you can set the stage. So the 4 questions are, what do you really want? Once you figure that out, okay, so what are you doing to get there? So when a teenager is doing something they shouldn't be doing, you can go the direct route, which is sometimes appropriate. Or sometimes you can say, what do you really want? Well, I want you to get off my back. Okay. What are you doing? Well, I'm breaking every rule I possibly can as often as I can. How's that working for you? You're on my back more than ever. What's your plan? Well, I'm going to keep going until you buckle under, and I win. Now, they're going to say it in different words. Mm-hmm. But the punchline is to say, well, what you really want is me to get off your back, and what you're doing isn't working, and you're going to do more of it.
Might not be the best strategy.
Might not be the best strategy. But you're not telling the kid to do anything. You're saying that's what you want? Okay.
Help me help you.
Yeah, I'll get off your back, but not with what you're doing.
So what do you want?
What do you want? What are you doing? How's that working? And what's your plan?
Simple questions.
Simple questions. Now that's kind of in the moment, The kid's, breaking curfew every night. So when you're asking a kid those 4 questions about the future, the question becomes, what are you interested in? Not what do you want to do, because they have no idea. But what are you interested in?
And what do you do if what they respond with as what they're interested in doesn't really align with your plan as a parent? The child is born, they're going to be a doctor or a lawyer or any one of these things. What if they don't want to do any of that? Change
your plan. The hard thing to accept about being a parent is it's their life. Now, if they say, I want to be a drug dealer, that's not cool. But, a lot of the careers that in our generation, in my generation, families aspired to have somebody become the first physician, the first attorney. And if you couldn't get a real job, you could become a psychologist, right? Those were the rank order. That's just a different place in space. Unfortunately, if you talk to many physicians, physician burnout is at an all-time high. They're not feeling fulfilled in many cases. And the other thing is, unless mom and dad are physicians, mom or dad, or somebody else in the family, mom and dad have no idea what it's like to be a physician. We've got this image, right? And the kids have no idea. And if your child says, I want to be an auto mechanic, well, you know what? Auto mechanics can't be exported. Physicians are going to be exported. Radiologists are already exported to India in terms of the jobs. So maybe we take them to the local dealer and say, can my kid watch for a day? Can we shadow? We have to be more open to a fulfilling life. I mean, we really want a child to be happy is really what it's about. And we've just got some well-intended but not really good ideas about what happiness means.
How does that manifest in an academic setting? What role do schools play in building resilience and in guiding children to having
Well, that's pretty
good life?
controversial because now we have standardized testing and teaching to the test and all manner of structure about what success means
Academically.
But we also, when it gets to the college level, a lot of it is a business, sports in particular. Research is a business. And so we take away some of the opportunity for people to really do what learning is about, which is explore. So one of the great things I understand about the state college system is the classes have now become 90 minutes. Well, if I'm a teacher in high school, that's probably challenging because I've been teaching 43 to 47 minutes for my entire career. But the good news is in 90 minutes, I can have a conversation. In 90 minutes, I can ask the whole class, so what are you interested in? How are you learning about that? Is it working for you? What's your plan? Well, your plan at some point might be, you know what? I thought that was really cool, and now it's the most boring thing. Cool. What else are you interested in? Right? You're teaching English, right? And some kids don't really have an appetite for English. Well, what are you interested in? Well, I'm interested in computer programming, computer architecture. Really? Have you ever thought about the relationship between communication and where we're going with technology? No. Well, really? Well, let's talk about that. So we can make our subjects more relevant to the interest that the students have, but the real interest, not what they think they're supposed to be doing.
Or just, traditionally it was kind of, these are the classes you have to take, get interested in, and it's realistically, if you're, interested mostly on this side of the spectrum, it's going to be a struggle to find passion to get interested in this side of the spectrum.
And the upside of being between 10 and 25 these days is the careers that are going to be available in 10 years just don't exist now. So it's really important to learn how to learn and less important to succeed in certain academic veins because they're just not going to be as relevant anymore. But the things that are happening in the world are just mind-boggling. And I think we lose sight of that.
What are some of the additional resources a parent could utilize if they're looking at ways to assess or build resilience?
So if you go to the Jan and Marie website, there's a link to all of our tools and the presentation we're doing these last 2 days. And parents are free to download them. There's a tool. Now, I don't recommend parents use a form with their kid, but there's a form to kind of structure the 4 questions. There's what we call cue cards to walk them through each skill. So there's actually a cue card about how do you have a mindful conversation with your 14 or 15-year-old. And the trick is you really have to decide to and take a deep breath and focus. There's digital recordings on how to meditate, which is, again, building the mindfulness capability. There's other references. There's a book list. And all that is just there for people to download and use. And if they have questions, they can get a hold of us, and we're happy to help. In addition to that, there are just a tremendous number of resources. So Authentic Happiness is the website at UPenn. Almost every major university has some kind of mindfulness or resilience program. So there's just a tremendous amount out there, but I would start at the Jan and Marie Foundation website.
What we learned from this segment of Jan and Marie Foundation's Candid Conversations with Dr. Leo Flanagan is resilience is critical to leading a meaningful life. A lack of resilience can lead to miscommunication and disengagement and can result in negative behaviors. Signs that a child or teen may be lacking resilience include feeling crushed by seemingly minor setbacks, such as a one-time poor grade, pessimism, and a general lack of enjoyment in life. Another sign may be excessive gaming, particularly with violent games, which in turn can lead to increased aggression, substance abuse, and earlier sexual activity with more partners. Remember that the brain is malleable and can be trained to respond more positively to stress or setbacks by implementing the 3 pillars of resilience: mindfulness, positive psychology, and hardiness. Resilient people have a different way of problem solving. They create options for themselves. So when evaluating a decision, ask your child the 4 most powerful questions. What do you want? What are you doing? How is that working? And what's your plan? When it comes to helping children or teens develop resilience, one of the best things a parent can do is to model it in their own lives. If you'd like additional information on resilience, here are some resources you can use.